From the headquarters of Telesur English in Quito, Ecuador, this is From the South. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. Brazil's presidential election will be decided in a runoff between far-right Jair Bolsonaro and left-wing Fernando Haddad on October 28. The runoff is required as no candidate won a majority.
With these numbers, as I have said, we will go to a second round. There is no way we can announce the president with the results at this stage.
While he ended up in first place, far-right candidate Jair Bolsonaro didn't reach the 50% required to win the presidency in the first round. With 99% of the votes counted, he won 46% of the votes. Meanwhile, Workers' Party candidate Fernando Haddad won 29% of the votes. Brazilians will head to the polls once again on October 28. As for the rest of the candidates, center-left candidate Ciro Gomes remained in third place with 12.4% of the votes. For her part, ecologist Marina Silva got a mere 1%. Right-wing candidates Geraldo Alckmin and Enrique Meireles won 4.7% and 1.20% respectively. Finally, left-wing activist and candidate Guilherme Boulos won 0.58%. In this map, we can see how the different regions of the country voted. In red, we found the areas which voted for Fernando Haddad, and in blue are the areas which went to Jair Bolsonaro. Other, much smaller areas were won by candidate Ciro Gomes. Both Bolsonaro and Haddad spoke after results were announced Sunday night. Let's listen to their speeches.
We are only one people, we have only one flag and only one heart, our union. Our union will make it that we have a decent government, a government that works for the people, and from our liberty we have the way to put people serious and coherent to lead ministries that will give a response for what the people need. That I'm very honored for the votes that I received today that guarantee the Workers' Party to the second round. I would like to tell you that that the results are very expressive in the sense that we have to face the risks that democracy in Brazil is running.
Supporters of far-right candidate Jair Bolsonaro have been protesting the results. A group of supporters burned handmade voting machines in Sao Paulo. They said issues with the counting prevented Bolsonaro from having an outright victory. At the moment, surveys suggest the outcome of the second round is uncertain. Analysts expect Fernando Haddad to come up almost neck and neck with Bolsonaro as he picks up the support of other candidates. Are disappointed he didn't secure a win in the first round, but they are confident the far-right candidate will beat Haddad in the upcoming runoff. They said he represents the only hope for the country.
Brazil will be Bolsonaro. We will win because we are fighting, and those who fight win. He's a patriot. He represents the people. He's worthy of being Brazilian, a rich and intelligent nation. The only thing missing is a great government.
The outcome of these elections are also critical to the welfare of Brazil's indigenous people. One of the campaign promises of Jair Bolsonaro has been to end indigenous reservations. On Sunday, members of the Mato Grosso community threw arrows at the military carrying ballots to their village. The indigenous community wanted to vote in the seat instead. Native Brazilians make up 0.4% of Brazil's population.
Here, people are, so to speak, isolated. We are forgotten. But in the election period, yes, we have to vote. Vote, vote. But, well, we need help elsewhere.
All or the majority of people in the community are here to vote. Yes, the majority is voting today, and that's good.
Bolsonaro's lead has set off alarm bells for Brazilian progressiveness, especially when it comes to women and minorities. After Sunday, Brazil will now have a conservative Congress. This will make it difficult for Fernando Haddad to push for social policies were to win on October 28. Still, his supporters are hopeful he will beat the far-right candidate in the runoff.
I already knew the results. I knew it would be Haddad and Bolsonaro in the runoff, and I'm confident, even though I think we already lost because of the conservative Congress we've elected. So it'll be hard to govern, but I think we'll resist and Haddad will win the runoff.
Many experts feel the current social and political climate in Brazil has become very polarized. We spoke to socialist Mariam Adelan of the Federal University of Paraná, who gave us an insight on the issue.
A lot of people are speaking about how the conditions in Brazil today are very similar to what they were in Germany with the rise of fascism. And I definitely think that there are parallels, just large masses of frustrated, impoverished working people, and people who are disaffected, who are unsure about their place in society. And I know that a lot of people were actually counting on women because one quite positive phenomena has been the resurgence or perhaps the emergence of a feminist movement, certainly hoping that the left and the center left are able to put enough work into this, roll up their sleeves, get out there in the community, talk to people, because it is very sad to see so many working people. The elites, people who have their class interests at stake, that's one thing, but to see ordinary working people, women, LGBT, Black members of the Black community, well, for the most part, I do believe that the so-called minorities have not voted for Bolsonaro, but to see that happens even to any small degree is a very anguishing and a very frustrating thing.
And supporters of former President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva gathered at the vigil in Curitiba. Just outside his prison cell, supporters cheer Lula on. They're optimistic about the runoff. Lula has continued to ask Brazilians to vote for the Workers' Party candidate. And candidate Guilherme Boulos has expressed his support for Fernando Haddad in the upcoming runoff. Boulos thanked his voters by Twitter and said he's proud of his campaign. For the runoff, Boulos says Brazilians need to choose between fascism or democracy. Brazil's Supreme Electoral Court has denied reports that not every vote has been processed. Messages and videos have been circulating on social media saying that some votes were not counted. The Supreme Electoral Court says this is absolutely false. Fake news were widely circulated during the campaign, especially in support of far-right candidate Jair Bolsonaro. And finally, international observers have praised Brazil's voting technology. They say the system is one of the most reliable in the world. However, some of them believe the spread of fake news during the campaign has played a key role in the final result. They are suggesting that results be annulled if this is proven to be true.
I have to say I have been extremely impressed by the mechanisms of voting and the biometrics and the other manners of trying to assure that the vote is secure, which is far better than what we have in the United States, because we know it is possible for our machines to be hacked.
I will keep my opinion about fake news impact until something actually happens, something that makes this court think about such a serious subject. We are in the middle of elections. We want to keep them calm, and we want voters to know their wills is going to be respected.
We'll take a short break now. Join us again in a minute.
Pakistani journalist Tariq Ali examines the mass media influence promoted by imperialism. Get access to the analysis of the socio-economic and political life of the whole South America on our screen and platform in English. A critical place committed to the truth to determine the major events that transform the world today. Mondays, only on Telesur.
Acompañamos a los pueblos que resisten en cada una de sus luchas.
Somos esa ventana que se abre para visibilizarlos entre fronteras.
Thursdays, only on Telesur. Our actions have an impact on the environment. It's our responsibility to change for the sake of our planet. Let's be part of this transition. Watch, preserve, and protect your Green Zone. Wednesdays, only on Telesur.
Welcome back. Authorities in Haiti have set up makeshift hospitals to help people injured in the earthquake that hit on Saturday. At least 14 people were killed and 150 injured in the 5.9 magnitude earthquake. Those most seriously hurt were taken by air ambulance to the capital Port-au-Prince for treatment. A 5.2 magnitude aftershock was felt on Sunday, but did not leave any more victims. Saturday's tremor is one of the strongest to hit Haiti since the 7.0 magnitude earthquake of 2010, which killed over 200,000 people. On Sunday, people in Peru elected 25 regional governors and almost 200 mayors.
In Lima, Peru's capital, attorney and businessman Jorge Muñoz from the Acción Popular Party was elected as new mayor for the 2019-2022 period. His supporters erupted in celebration.
We'll take care of him and support him as voters in everything he needs. We will pay attention to the critics and comments. We have a lot of oppositors, but we will be honest and clean at our jobs.
According to the polls, Peruvians view crime and public transport as among their main challenges. They expect the incoming mayor to tackle these issues with urgency.
Problemas que esperan sean la prioridad de sus nuevas autoridades.
They must be tough with criminals because us and our kids are in danger. For example, they have stolen my daughter's phone many times.
As a woman, I'd like to have kids in the future, and I'd like them to live in a safe place, with stable protection. Now, there are many cases of rape and crime.
Corruption is another serious concern. According to the Ministry of Justice, around 2,300 current regional governors and mayors are being investigated for corruption. President Vizcarra referred to this after voting.
Después de emitir su voto.
We received 4 constitutional reforms from the Congress's president, and we made a call to the media for Tuesday at 8 a.m. to announce our intentions to call a referendum.
Meanwhile, members of the Fujimorismo party and the APRA received only a few votes and failed to secure the win in any region.
Bolivian President Evo Morales has opened a new $170 million potassium chloride manufacturing plant. Bolivia is said to have the world's largest lithium reserves, something that Morales wants to exploit.
Of the 10 industrial producers of the world of potassium chloride, we are in the 9th place in this industry. Sisters and brothers, we can now rub shoulders with the world's powers. It is the pride of the Bolivians. In South America, we are in the 3rd place. Therefore, Bolivia is no longer a dwarf country, and it is no longer a beggar country as before.
Mexico's indigenous communities are defending their homes and land from construction projects that threaten the environment. They are protesting against work started by the government of outgoing President Enrique Peña Nieto.
San Lorenzo Copilco is a community located in the highlands of Ciudad de Mexico, and their land belongs to more than 2,000 co-owners.
They didn't take us into consideration. They passed through a hill, tore it down, damaging our water resources. We don't have water now. There are 7 damaged spots. This is really regrettable.
Those who are speaking out prefer to remain anonymous. They have been victims of intimidation and physical assault from groups claiming to be authorities. They then hand over land to the government on behalf of the community.
We were going to have a meeting regarding the work, but Mr. Gabino Sandoval and his people arrived to the main plaza to beat us. I was hurt that day.
The interurban train will cover 58 kilometers from Toluca to the capital city. This is a public and private funded project that didn't consult the locals.
In Mexico, we know of at least 500 social and environmental conflicts. Most of them arose from mega projects, and many times people living in affected areas don't know that a mine is going to be dug until the day the work starts. Then there are clashes, and it turns out that those projects have already been authorized years ago.
Villagers in the Texcoco Lake area are in a similar situation as the New Mexico International Airport is being built, and is estimated to cost $13 billion, 50% more than initially expected.
I dare to say that in Texcoco all the environmental considerations are fake. They have faulty data, and we have to sanction those technicians and government workers.
People from Defense of Earth Front and other social groups have fought against the new airport that has taken a large part of their land. Construction has destroyed farming groups and crops used for production and self-consumption.
Over in Honduras, heavy rains and flooding have left at least 4 people dead and affected more than 6,000 people. The Choluteca River has overflowed because of continuous rain that has lasted several days. Floods and mudslides have destroyed bridges, buildings, and roads, cutting off access to various villages. Guatemala remembers the attack on the Mayan community of Saman when army troops opened fire on refugees, killing 11 people.
23 years ago, this place was full of tears, pain, and bloodshed. A Guatemalan army patrol trained their guns on resettled Mayans. The victims belonged to the Aurora community in the Chisec municipality, known as Alta Verapaz in the north. Some lived to tell the true life horror story.
First they threw a bomb. That is when my ear got hurt, and now it's left me deaf. Then I saw people dead and bullets passing through. Fortunately, the bullets didn't touch me.
Survivors remember that 2 children, 2 teachers, and a teenager were among those killed.
They are not to blame, but the army, who took their lives away, they also killed a teacher, friends, and family.
The massacre took place on October 5th, 1995, when the villagers were preparing for an event, the commemoration of the 1st anniversary of their return to Mexico. Ironically, they had sought refuge there to protect themselves from military repression back in the 80s.
Soldiers were not allowed to enter this community of the returned. That is why people started to complain, because the army entered saying they were invited to anniversary celebrations, but they were lying.
Because of this massacre, 14 military men were condemned. However, 11 are still fugitives. The survivors say they don't believe the state is actively pursuing justice on behalf of the victims and survivors.
Many people have come like you. They only interview, talk, and then that's it. And there's almost no pressure on the army.
On September 28th, the Inter-American Court of Human Rights held the state of Guatemala accountable for the massacre and ordered that investigations continue.
We're gonna take another short break. Join us in a few.
Queremos verdad, reparación integral, pero sobre todo justicia, pero justicia social.
How many ways there are to tell a story? The different perspectives of our nations are on Telesur documentaries. Sundays, only on Telesur. An occasion to enjoy the cultural diversity that defines our South American essence. Come along to find out the story behind these personalities, traditions, and artistic expressions that unite us as a whole. Real Lives, Friday, only on Telesur. With developing events being presented through analysis. Our coverage transcends borders. With renowned journalist Walter Martinez.
Salud amigos, tripulantes de nuestra querida, contaminada y única nave espacial.
Dossier. Weekdays. Only on Telesur.
Y ponga usted las cámaras, señor director.
Welcome back. A UN report has confirmed that the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement are unachievable. In fact, global climate is on track for an increase of 3 to 4 degrees Celsius. An urgent transformation of the world economy is required to avoid global chaos. A UN landmark report warns time is running out to avoid disaster.
Limiting warming to 1.5 degrees C implies changes on an unprecedented scale. It means deep emission reductions in all sectors, the use of a wide range of technologies, behaviour changes, and a significant increase of investment in low-carbon options.
Limiting global warming to 1.5 compared to 2 degrees would reduce the number of people exposed to climate-related risks and susceptible to poverty by up to several hundred millions by 2050.
Carbon dioxide emissions would need to decline substantially before 2030 to avoid warming of more than 1.5 degrees C in the middle of the 21st century, followed by large-scale carbon dioxide removal.
And now let's take a look at more stories making headlines around the world.
Vote counting has started in Cameroon after Sunday's parliamentary and municipal elections. The final results are expected to be announced within the next 15 days. There are a total of 9 candidates in the presidential race. Incumbent Paul Biya is running for his 7th term in office. The election was marked by deadly violence in the country's English-speaking regions and the cancellation of voting in at least one affected area over security fears.
This is an unprecedented election because the Cameroonian people are fed up with a rotten system that has made us suffer for 36 years. We really want this victory to be for the people.
Interpol has announced that its president, Meng Huangwei, who vanished after returning to his homeland, has resigned. This comes after Beijing concluded an investigation against him for possible criminal activity. China has said it will continue to support Interpol's work and strengthen pragmatic cooperation with Interpol member states. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi have met in Beijing amid deteriorating relations and an ongoing trade war between both nations. The two expressed their grievances on trade and foreign policies. Wang urged the U.S. to stick to the correct path and stop its isolationist agenda.
The Royal Swedish Academy of Science has announced that William Nordhaus and Paul Romer have won the 2018 Nobel Economics Prize. Nordhaus from Yale University and Romer from the Stern School of Business have been awarded the prestigious prize for their work on sustainability. They have integrated climate change, technological innovations, and microeconomic analysis into their studies.
Today decided to award the...
We've come to the end of this news brief. This and many other stories you can find on our website at telesurtv.net/English. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. Thank you for watching.